Hello everybody, my name is Ivan Ethos, and welcome to my last video of, well, this month I guess, of Warframe in a nutshell. So, we're looking at the most recent Warframe release, that's Grendel, as you can see up there. One of the weird things about him is, he doesn't really have long arms. He kind of has these short, stubby arms. Not a huge fan of his design. I mean, I love some of his abilities, which we'll get into in a minute, but his design leaves a lot to be desired. So, we're going to go to this one, Configuration C, remove it. I have not formatted anything on Grendel, so these are his base polarities, and those are also his base stats. So, 225 energy, 350 armor, 75 shield, and 1050 health, and a decent speed, and an okay sprint speed. So he's a very healthy frame, which makes sense. And we're gonna unequip you too. So we're gonna go in out here, summon our level 30 enemies, and kind of give you an idea what his abilities do. It's a very portly frame. So first of all, we're gonna look at his passive. Each enemy consumed grants 50 bonus armor, and that we'll talk about in his first ability, Feast, where he swallows an enemy whole and stores it in his gut. And you can keep on doing it. You can hold to vomit out stored enemies, cover them in toxic bile. The damage they take is quite extensive, and their armor reduction is based on how long they spent in sight of him. So, how you use the abilities, you activate it, and you just kind of aiming at enemies. If they're within range, they get eaten up. So right now, I have 400 additional armor. Just keep that in mind. And yes, they're draining energy, but technically they're considered dead. So this will actually, by consuming enemies, you can actually continue on defense missions and interceptions, stuff like that. And there's their dead bodies right there. So, as you can see, not a super bad idea with Grendel just to eat people and walk away. Of course, having a good efficiency is kind of important. So, let's take a look at his second ability, shall we? His second ability is Nourish. You can consume the enemies in his gut to nourish nearby members with a radial buff. So, I believe there is some level of not random chance with this effect, but it doesn't seem that there's much. Excuse me. It seems like there is quite a bit of random chance to it. But we're going to go ahead here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Grendel's acquisition, because I realized I skipped that, and I should probably get into that a little bit. So, Grendel himself was released on October 31st of 2019. He was released in the update 26 of the Old Blood, which is roughly on the time they also released Kubaliches, which we will talk about, because meh. Now, you acquire him through a certain mission on Europa using locators. You basically have to go do arbitrations in order to get the Vitus Essence, in order to pick up the locators which you get from the arbitration vendors. And then you get them. So one of the things that's important to know about this is that purchasing a locator will unlock the unique mission associated with it, which guarantees the associated Grendel component as a reward. So you're guaranteed this part. These missions will have level 40 to 45 enemies. However, players will be unable to use their gear items, and all warframes and weapons will not benefit from any equipped mods, and operators cannot be used. The only exceptions to these rules are warframe augment mods and sentinel precepts. So, it's something you can do, I believe, with other people. I believe as long as the player who activates the mission has a locator, everyone can do it all together, and you'll all be granted the part. But you have to remember, no one can use their mods in any capacity besides those ability augmenters. So getting Grendel can be a really hard deal, actually. So, let's go ahead and showcase Nourish. So we'll take up these guys right there. So I have a glutton of 150, I have 100 for the extra armor. Do that, I now have Nourished Energy. Now what Nourished Energy does is it gives me an energy multiplier of 125. That means when I pick up an energy orb, the energy orb's energy it gives me is increased by 25%. So There you go. The higher your power strength, the more energy it can give you back. So this can really be beneficial if you have a decent duration for your Grendel, and also pretty high power strength. You can quite literally give people, like, I believe 3 or 4 times their energy for orb, which is really handy. The nourished armor does damage in a radius, and then the nourished strike gives you a damage multiplier of toxin. So obviously I can no longer use any more abilities because, I had to eat them. And my energy is mostly consumed by my first 2 abilities. In fact, I believe it only is consumed by your first 2 abilities, and your 3rd and 4th function as long as you have people in your body. So let's look at this 3rd ability here. Regurgitate. You violently puke out a bile-soaked enemy from Grendel's gut, turning the unfortunate creature into a toxic projectile. Costs no damage. Costs no energy, but deals pretty good damage and a pretty good radius. So we're going to go ahead and showcase that. Oops. Okay. Then they died. And then they died. Alright. Num num num. Summon 8 more. Now we're going to do the last little bit here. The last little bit is Pulverize, where, powered by feasting, Grendel curls into a ball, knocks over anyone in his path. So jumping slams Grendel into the ground and generates a damaging shockwave. Again, no energy drain per activation, but an energy drain per second. As you can see, it can be kind of hard to control, and you may or may not find yourself, well, I guess, rolling off a cliff. But you have to have at least 1 person in your gut in order to turn into Pulverize. And the more people you have, in your gut, the bigger of a ball you turn into. So here, we'll go ahead and showcase. We'll just do these 8 for now. You saw how small of a ball I was back then, so we're going to go ahead and we got myself up to 10 enemies. See? We're a much bigger ball now. Where's my ball? There it is. I have to be really fast about this. I was really big for a 1/10 of a second. Okay. But as you get the drift. The more enemies you have, the bigger of a ball of meat that you are. So, how do you mod him? Well, the biggest modifier you really want to have with Grendel, at least in my personal opinion, is that efficiency. Now, of course, as I've showcased with almost all of my builds, an economy build with Grendel should focus either corrosive projection, energy siphon, one of those 2. Since he has an Aramon polarity, go ahead and grab him a flow, because you're going to need that extra energy capacity. He has 2 Vizarn, so Vizarn, kind of hard to say what you really, really want to have with him, because, I mean, he has a lot of health, so you might as well just grab him, some vitality. And if you have the available option, Gladiator Resolve, to give yourself that 3,000 health. Armor, also viable to give on him because he already has 350. You can give him some good buffs there. So Gladiator, Aegeus, and Steel Fiber can be great objects for him. Boom. That almost gives him 1,000 armor. He can take a long time to hurt. Now, a bit beyond that, you probably want to grab him. Where is it? Streamline for that energy efficiency. Stretch for some reach. And then duration, so Augur Message. And the only reason why I'm doing Augur Message here is the fact that if you can do Augur Message and Augur Reach, just Augur Message, sorry, and Stretch. I have to think something else. These 2 are probably good. These are probably going to be good mods for you. I would recommend, however, also putting Hunter Adrenaline if you have that option. Popping out for your message, just in case, because this is going to give you damage converted to energy, which can be super helpful in situations where you're feasting on a bunch of people. So, we're going to go ahead and showcase this with what we have. I need to grab energy first, before I forget, because I'm a little dumb. So we're up to 450 energy. Cool, cool, cool. So you saw how fast he drained through that energy there. We're going to do that. Look at that. Much slower pacing of energy drain. Granted, we haven't gotten up to the huge amount we had before, but we'll get to there. An extra 400 armor, though. 16 enemies eaten alive. So we're going to go ahead and recharge our energy here. Summon 8 more. Recharge our energy again. Now at this time, last time we were. Now look at the size of our meatball. See? A pretty good sized ball, really. And if I'm in the ball and I explode, then they all come out dead. Anyways. So, Grendel in of himself is a pretty strong morpher. And again, he doesn't care about level. And I'll showcase right here. Mastery rank, enemy level, doesn't matter. Because if he can feast on you, he will feast on you. Enemies of higher rank don't matter. He'll still eat them as easily as he ate someone else. So we'll go ahead and summon up 8 of them. Walk over, grab some energy. Again, these are level 155 enemies. You could say he insta-kills them. And the worst part is, I can nourish. And look at that. Grendel doesn't care about level. He doesn't care about, how strong you think you are. He will just flat eat you and spit you back out. And it's one of the greatest things. Of all the Warframes, he's probably one of even the most he's probably even stronger than even Gara in many respects. Because he can just flat out spit people out. Or hold them in his gut all the time. And again, 350 extra armor is nothing to be laughed at. I will showcase this right now. So I will unpause the AI and let them kind of take pot shots at him. Look at that. Level 155 enemies would normally completely annihilate someone. But he just ate them up and walked away. And that's all he did. He barely gave a care. Granted, again, the longer he can maintain his energy reserves, the better. Plus, in real combat, you're not going to have tons of energy orbs to play around with unless you have a heal drawn who's using her Aegis Storm forever. But then watch. All dead. All dead. So what does Grendel care? Grendel will just flat eat you. That's why my build for Grendel, originally, was designed for a good amount of range, high amount of efficiency. The one problem, however, is that it did make the the armor reduction, the damage fairly low on almost all of these. And of course, the duration's pretty low as well. But really, I didn't think that was really super important from the fact that, and I'll showcase this. Just because I can. I should probably try to max out how many I see here. There we go. Maxed out. Boop. Summon them. He's just going to go around. He's going to eat up all 20 of these enemies after I get the full tank of energy here. And I'm just going to show you how with maximum efficiency, how kind of scary it gets, actually. Again, those were all level 155 enemies. Yeah. And now they're all dead. And then it's just a matter of picking up some more energy and repeating the process. And again, while he's in his ball mode, he can deal quite a bit of damage. The more bodies he has, the more damage he can deal. So with Grendel, I always recommend people to build him efficiency, build him range, and just eat people. Don't worry about how much damage your abilities are doing. It doesn't matter. Just eat them. They take so much damage, and after a short period of time, it doesn't really even matter anymore. And then they come out. If any of them are still alive, they have no armor. Even with the armor reduction that I have, being 2% per second, that means it takes roughly, well, it's not additive, I believe. It's 2% every time. But still, regardless, after a full energy tank, they're dead. It doesn't matter. And if I spit them out after 5 or 10, 15 seconds, they're still going to be mostly dead. I can just kill them. So Grendel, for me, is a frame of just kind of making everybody disappear. And he has no upward cap to how much he can really deal with, because as long as he can survive long enough to eat everything, they cannot hurt him when they're in his tummy. So that's Grendel for you. I hope you've enjoyed this Warframe in a nutshell. Kind of a shorter one. Really not much more to say about Grendel himself. If you have liked the video, please leave a like. If you have a comment, please leave a comment. Subscribe if you want to see more Warframe, regardless of what videos you want to see. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a safe day, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye, everybody.